Matrix. It is your economics exam tomorrow, and I cannot believe throughout the whole year we've come to this point. So, hi, it's me, Megs, and of course we have Ozzy who's going to be joining us and your teacher for today. So, Ozzy, how are you?
I'm fine, thanks, and you, Maggie?
Fantastic. Are we just doing exam questions today?
Yes, we are doing exam questions. Welcome again, Mindsetters. Matriculants, we hope that you are enjoying your exams so far. We hope that the tomorrow paper will be very nice for you. But before we get there, we'll just play around with some of the questions that we saw in the last year's paper, 2012 November economics. So we just picked a few questions in all the parts, that is all the LOs there, starting with micro and then macro. We looked at also some questions also in economic pursuits and contemporary economics.
Okay.
But the very important thing is that we now looking at the questions. We start with the questions now.
Okay, I'm going to first tell you guys all you need to know about the Samsung competition. You know it's still going on. The Learn Extra Exam Revision Marathon competition, guys. So many people have walked away with tablets, as you can see right here. The Galaxy Note 10 is next up for grabs, and maybe it could be you. And I'm sure you want to find out how you can be one of our winners here at Mindset. So simple things. All you have to do is download the notes. I'm going to post. My laptop just decided to give me trouble now, so I'm going to log on to Facebook, post everything, post the notes. You download the race number, you enter it into, obviously we've posted where you can find the competition. You enter it into that, and you could win one of these Galaxy Note 10s, proudly sponsored by Samsung. As you know, Samsung and Mindset have teamed up and also introduced the Learning Hub. Don't forget, if you want to know more about the Learning Hub, drop me a message on Facebook. Our Facebook page is Facebook, www.facebook.com/learnextra. And also, do not forget the Curio challenges. Yes, we have those for you, Matrix, especially for you grade 12. So I will give you the code in just a few minutes. I don't want to, I know you have to learn more now. So after or just before the next break, I'll give you the code, and it's all about revision and questions, especially for you guys writing tomorrow. So excitement's up. All you need to do is revise, and Ozzy is going to help you with all of that, guys.
Okay, thank you very much, matriculants. This time of the year around, we call you candidates. It's a nice word for a change. If we don't like, because we're introducing you to the work situation or tertiary, we call you ladies and gentlemen to spoil you. But look what we've done for you, colleagues. The first question that we have here will be a question on appreciation and depreciation. Remember, well, when we talk about this, is when we talk international economics, and I think it has a little bit of it also in economic pursuits. The first question, I'll read it loud for you so that you are able to see what the question says. The question says, distinguish. It says, distinguish between appreciation and depreciation. So what our keywords are here is what? Appreciation and depreciation of a rand against the dollar. This question carries 8 marks, boys and girls. So, but, it is important because maybe sometime this question won't be appearing as the question is here. It might appear in a form of an essay where you have to write a long essay about it. So what I want us to do, I just wanted us to look at these two concepts, appreciation and depreciation, in very close seconds. Remember what we said? We said we are talking about these two concepts when we talk international economics. Right, in other words, international trade, some people call it. We have these two important exchange rates that we talk about in terms of when we buy goods and sell goods overseas. When we talk exports and imports. Remember, our key things is that, and remember, each country always endeavors, always try to have the level of exports to be greater than the level of imports. So we have what? That we can just abbreviate that. X stands for exports. And we have greater than imports. I'll just use M. I know that some textbooks use a Z also, you know, that they still mean the same thing. So exports must always be greater than imports, so that at the end of the day, boys and girls, we are able to get a favorable balance of payment. That's why I want to say payment instead of trade. Payment, because at the end of the day, we're talking of balance of payment when we talk international trade. Because remember, we've got those accounts that we talk about. It's another section of work which I don't want to go into details in view of time. So here is our story. The beginning point is that, so government says, so in order to trade with other countries, we need to have money from foreign countries coming to our country instead of us taking money out of the country. So in order that we have a balance of trade, of payment or trade surplus as opposed to a deficit, we can say we have exchange rates. Exchange rates or rate of exchange. There's two important types of exchange rates. The one we refer to as fixed exchange rate. The other one is floating exchange rate. In fact, there's not, in other words, you can also put the one, because the combination of the two obvious will be floating, fixed floating, or floating, controlled floating exchange rate, or dirty floating as they put it, because the government gets involved. How does fixed work? The fixed exchange rate is the exchange rate whereby the government or the state fix a certain amount of gold to its currency. Remember that the key word is that who fixes this? It is the governments who decide that, okay, in my 1 rand is going to be 10 fine grains of gold. Some say parity of exchange. So this South Africa has, in the government, has fixed its 1 rand with a certain amount of gold attached to it, so that another country may decide. This country may decide to say, okay, mine is going to be sorry, we use this. That was the rand first. So we've got let's say we have $1. $1 is equals to 20 fine grains of gold. I hope you can see this, or I'll change the ink because I'm using a wrong one. Maybe I'll use the black one so that you are able. Black on black doesn't work. You know that. Not black on black violence, but black on black ink. Which one? I think red would be more conspicuous. Yeah, there we go. So it is clear then, boys and girls, that if you have a situation like this, time is running out. If you have a situation like this, you'll realize that 1 rand is less than $1. So if you have to work out an exchange rate, you'll take the one that is bigger. You'll take the one that is bigger and compare it with the one that is small. Our ink is getting us somewhere. I'll figure it out now. Okay, there we go. Okay, so it's going to be 20 over 10, which that means the exchange rate will be obviously 2:1. So then 1 rand will then be equals to $2. I mean, $1 is going to be 1 rand. So that is very important to note that we have a situation whereby we have that kind of a situation. But what is important is that this exchange rate is determined by the state. Now, we'll go to a situation where we talk of now the floating exchange rate, where we cut our depreciation and appreciation. The depreciation is a currency of a country determined by the market forces. Okay. We will, for a little moment, mindsetters, take a little ad break so that we are able to cover this section the next time we move. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Ozzy. Okay, Matrix, I'm sorry. My computer is just taking a little bit longer than we'd hoped, so we're quickly going to fix it, post the notes for you. Don't go anywhere. Economics is coming back right after the break. Welcome back, Matrix. I know you guys are getting excited. You've already written so many exams, English and maths, and now, oh, you have to write economics. But don't pull that face, because we are here to help you learn more, and learn extra. But for you, Matrix, we have something going. It's called the Curio Challenge. You know all about it. If you don't know all about it, you can go look. It's on our Facebook page, facebook.com/learn extra. And the keyword or key code that you have to type in, I have to look at my paper, is V4G2P. Don't worry, I will post it, but it's a little bit of a complicated number, but I'll post it for you. And take the challenge. It's all about learning more, learning extra here with us at Mindset. So let's go into economics grade 12s so we can get this on a roll.
Okay, welcome back, participants. Good. It was a very short while that we've been looking at this exchange rates. But the main important part where I want to arrive at is to check this question about depreciation and appreciation. So I know that it's not easy just to take it there. It means we must start somewhere so that we get the background of what exchange rate is. We will get there, but we know, because that already the question asks you, assuming that you know what is an exchange rate, a value of one currency expressed in terms of another country's currency, e.g. 1 rand to a dollar. So here we have realized that at the end of the day, if we have these fine grains of gold attached to each one of these currencies, then our exchange rate will be one dollar is equals to 2 rands. It means technically, if South Africa is not happy about that, because it means the dollar is more expensive than the rand, then they can also change and say 1 rand is equals to 15 fine grains of gold. And you'll realize that a situation now where a rand becomes above. So it's this frontier where most of the economics were battling until such time they all learned one thing, to say it is much better to have a floating exchange rate. A floating exchange rate where the currencies are determined by the market. Let us see how these things work, where we'll find our depreciation and appreciation. Fine, we have a graph which will show us this situation. On the vertical axis, we just say price. Remember, an exchange rate, by definition, is the price of one currency. I'll just abbreviate this. Currency in terms of another country's currency. In terms of, say, price of a rand in terms of a dollar, right? So we just no longer say price, because remember we use this demand and supply of foreign exchange. Therefore, we will have a demand curve for foreign exchange. We'll have a demand curve for foreign exchange. There's our demand curve when we have our supply for foreign exchange. Remember, we are not going to ask at this point candidates what is demand for foreign exchange, what is supply. But we all know that if we demand foreign exchange, for instance, it is when, let's say, when we go to United States of America, we demand dollars. In other words, when we get there, we should be able to pay them in terms of dollars. We go with our rands, but we must express our rands in terms of dollars. How does that happen? We will see here. Because of this demand and supply, then in the United States, they will be supplying in that case because we are the ones who are getting there. They are the suppliers of foreign exchange. So because of these two market forces, we do have our equilibrium point where we'll see that our exchange rate will be there, and this, which is determined by the market. So this is a situation there with depreciation and appreciation. And appreciation is a situation whereby the increase of the market, of the currency will increase because of the market forces. How would it, now all of a sudden, I've been making this example of, about USA. I cannot change it now. Not to say I'm crazy about USA, but it's just that it's an immediate example. Right. If the demand for dollars is increasing because we are buying everything for America, music, cabs, what, you know, all those things that you like. That what happens to the demand curve for the dollar? It will increase. And as it increases, it shifts to the right. And then we have our new demand curve, D1, and our new equilibrium, E1. What happens to the price of a dollar? It increases for ER to ER1, I'll say. Because that is an increase. And then we have, because the quantity of a dollar demanded increases from OQ to OQ1. This is what is called appreciation. So this situation here we'll call appreciation. An increase of a currency of a country because of the market forces. What happens to the decrease of a currency? Let's say somebody says, no, I'm angry at this country A. Let me use A's and B's. Or are angry about it. We don't buy anything from the cultural boycott, what economic boycott or economic sanctions, or the demand for their goods fall. As a result, the demand for their currency goes down. As a result, what happens to the demand curve? It shifts to, I'll say, D2, D2. And you realize, given that supply SS, then we have a new equilibrium E2, which means now the value of their currency decreases to R2. So, because of that situation, we call this situation what? Depreciation. Depreciation. Depreciation of a dollar. The dollar is actually depreciated in the whatever currency. So this is how, you see, can happen with supply also, but it will take us time to finish, because if supply increases and demand remains the same, then also there's the overplay of these market forces. Then they play around with the what? Exchange rate. If you look at this every day in the morning and in the evening, you get economic indicators, then they tell you the value of a rand to a dollar. So these things are happening almost every hour of the day, because there's too much demand and supply going on internationally without knowing it. When we are busy studying there, there's a lot of this movement of money and currencies and all that. So that is why we have every day this that we hear about. Okay, let's go back to our questions, boys and girls. We go back to our question says, distinguish between appreciation and depreciation. Already, you have the answers. Let's hear those answers. Yes, I can hear some of you are saying the answers. Some are saying, no, we are not sure. But let us see what is happening here. The definition says, the definition appreciation of a currency implies the increase in the value, remember, increase in what? The value of a domestic currency in relative currencies of the other countries. Right, due to market forces. What is very important here? It is what? Due to market forces. Remember, appreciation and depreciation applies in a market force situation. Revaluation and devaluation only happens in fixed exchange rate. In other words, when the government decides to increase the value of its currency by fixing more gold on it during gold rate of exchange, it's reevaluating its currency. And when the government, so it's government action against market forces. Market forces, appreciation and depreciation. Appreciation, therefore, of a currency, exports will decrease and imports will increase. If the currency of a country increases, it's obvious. Everybody will say, oh, gee, rand is more expensive. Remember, what we make in South Africa, other countries are also making outside. They are producing. So if the Chinese are producing whatever, say clothes, and South Africans are producing them, if the value of a rand currency appreciates, then people are looking around international, they realize that they can buy cheaper, where? In China. So that there's an adverse or rather negative effect to the economy or to the balance of trade in the country, because the value of exports will decrease because the value of a currency has appreciated. It will have a negative effect to the balance of payment, e.g., a lower price of exchange rate reflects an appreciation of local currency against foreign currency. A fall in the rand-dollar exchange rate from 1 rand to 10 rand 50 to US to $1 is equal to 6 rand 36. Therefore implies an appreciation of the rand against a dollar. Simply because we then have fewer rands to purchase the required amount of dollar. Remember this question, remember what is we are busy with here, amongst other things, rather than teaching people or rather than explaining concepts and things, we need to give people a direction. This question is out of 8 marks candidates. Therefore, you cannot just give what? Just give a definition and expect to get 8 marks. That is why this answer is the definition, and then you have a little bit of explanation of what effects will each one of these have to the economy at large. I think that is the end of this question. Let us look at the next question. But here we have depreciation. Obviously, if this one is right, the other one is left. So, if depreciation takes place, it means the value of a currency decreases because of market forces. And what? What will it happen to the balance of payment? Oh, I can hear you are saying it. Yeah, right. That's correct. It means the value of a currency will what? Will depreciate, will go down, will decrease. What will happen to the imports and exports? It means the exports will increase because less money is needed to buy South African goods if the currency goes down. So, you see, we might cry to say, oh, you know, our currency is losing value and what. But we must also be happy on the other side that we are able to sell more to other countries. We are also able to increase the level of exports when our currency goes down. Yeah, so that was basically that question. Let us look at the next question here. The next question says, choose, you know, these questions, I know that these questions are the one that people are playing around with lots of marks with these questions, because what they do, they normally just do the guesswork and choose between the two. And you've got lots of questions there. Imagine if you get total in all those questions, they are carrying quite a number of marks, so that you are able, you can even pass exams. I'm not encouraging people to leave discussion questions and only focus on them. Because people they think they are easy. Those are the easiest questions. No, they are not easy, because you still have to think. You still have to unpack. They are just refreshing your mind so that you are able to answer some of the questions which are more difficult. So if you just go through them and just choose, then you have a very serious problem. Right. So we have, it says, choose the right. The first one says, by setting minimum prices, consumers or producers benefits. Setting minimum prices. I know that everybody is asking. Not everybody, because I know you are intelligent. You are very intelligent. You are going to get distinctions. But just those who are still, you know, have forgotten what is minimum prices and maximum prices. Obviously, minimum prices, then those prices which will benefit who? The producers. Those are minimum price. Those minimum prices, if we illustrate it, is like that. We have our demand, we have our supply, and we have our price, and we have our quantity. If we have that situation, our minimum price, I like to say this, people must be careful here. If it says minimum and maximum, somebody thinks of a situation where minimum is something very small and maximum is very high. It's the opposite, because the minimum, it means then, and we have the minimum and we have the maximum there. Maximum price means the suppliers will supply very little quantity, when those who demand goods will demand more goods. So the government intervenes to say the producers can only charge that price. That's the maximum they can sell at that price. That's the maximum price they can sell off at, so that they are protecting who? The ordinary people who are suffering from poverty and all those things. They say, no, you can't sell bread without subsidizing it. You can't sell it at, we know your cost and everything, but can't sell it at 50 rand per loaf. So this is the maximum price. But the maximum price is there. So who does it benefit? Obvious. And then the minimum price is therefore, on the other hand, and this has got negative effects, this minimum price situation. Has got a negative effect, because at the end of the day, people would want then to buy more, but the suppliers can only supply little at that price. So there will be a lot of excess demand taking place there. So you have to be careful with that. Maximum prices are those prices, the minimum prices on top there, when those who demand goods demanding very little, and those who supply goods are supplying at a higher quantity. Therefore, it means then we have excess supply because of government intervention in these things. Just in passing to say, people should know then, by setting minimum prices, who is going to benefit is going to be the consumer. The production of goods that results in negative externality is often over or under supply in the market. You see, we cannot just talk about these things, boys and girls. You need to be very careful, because at the end of the day, we need to know what is externalities, right? I know that people know what is externalities. When we do any production, anything that comes out as an effect of that production, it can be called an externality. So this externality can be positive, and some of them are negative externality. If somebody, I'm sitting at home and then is busy doing a nice garden opposite my home, and there's flowers smelling, and when the wind blows, it blows to my house, and I sit there, I smell fresh fragments of flowers. That person has produced what? Flowers, but that gives what? Positive externality to me, because it's actually making me pleasurable. But if somebody, Chisambaula, somebody is sitting there burning tires and saying it's cold and wants to get warm, then what is happening? Pollution. That is negative externality. Then whatever is doing what benefits that person is getting me worse off. So that is negative externalities. So, right, that is why it comes very huge. When we talk externalities, therefore, we also are bound to touch a little bit of merit and demerit goods. But that is another. So what happens to this? It's a situation whereby production of goods that result in a negative externality is often oversupplied in the economy. So that becomes a market failure, because the market fails to produce quantities that are supposed to be produced, but they produce quantities that will cause the market to fail. We will look at these other questions, and then after the break we'll be able to, I want us to look at question 2.3. 2.3 there says the production of goods results, we've been there. The question 2.3, a shutdown point in a perfect market is where prices is equals to average or average variable cost. A fast food outlet like KFC is an example of a monopoly, or is it an example of any oligopoly competitor? So you need to know the difference between the two. Right. There we go. We were there, right? So we're now going to look at the answers of these questions. When you look at the answers of these questions, oh, by the way, these are the questions they don't have. We'll move on to the next question now. The next question would be, list 3 causes of market failure. I just mentioned one. Causes of market failure. Why does the market fail? Rather, remember that the market does not fail. The market does not fail if the market produces the quantities and the qualities which people want in the market. The quantities that are demanded by the consumer, that is why the market cannot fail. But then if the market fails to produce the quantities that are required by the market, then the market fails. But again, if the market cannot perform, in other words, cannot perform its duties of determining prices had there not been other things that are hindering it, therefore it won't fail. But if those things that causes it to fail, what are those things that are causing market fail?
Okay.
Okay.
You ready for an ad break?
Yes, no, we'll have a little ad break, and then from there we'll continue with this question about market failure.
I think
Thanks,
Ozzy needs
Miguel.
to refill his water. That's why he wants to take an ad break, huh?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Okay, Matrix, quickly go grab a glass of water like Ozzy's going to. Quickly come back and don't switch your channels anywhere else but Mindset. See you now. Welcome back, Matrix. So you guys are G'd, you guys are ready, and we're going to rock some economics. But some of you have been asking me, how do I enter the competition, right? So I'll just explain one more time. You go and you download the notes. I just posted them now, and I'm sorry, my computer wasn't working, so it was just a little bit of a delay. But now I've posted them. You click on them. You look for, obviously, this economics section. And at the bottom, there's going to be a number. Now, you take the number at the bottom of the notes. There's another link posted on the Facebook page, and you enter it into that. So automatically, you go into all the other drawers for all the Samsung prizes that we have going up for grabs. So it's so easy, so simple. Again, if you don't understand it, hit me up on facebook.com/learn extra. But Ozzy, I think we should carry on with 2.3 so these mindsetters can learn more.
Thank you, mindsetters. Yes, before we went to the ad break, we did a little bit introduction on the following question, but we had these questions also for you to take into note. I don't know what answers you have come up with then, because there we have 2.3, which says the shutdown. Remember, when a company shut down, means it does no longer operate. The shutdown point in a perfect market is where prices is equals to average or average variable cost. What did we get there? Right, I can hear some whispering there, whispering the correct answer being average variable cost. Very important. Because remember that if the average it is cost per unit. Variable is the cost which increases as the output increases. So to stop this output from increasing, then the company has to shut down, because the more it increases of output, the more the average cost increases, but the average variable cost increases. Right. 2.4, let's read 2.4 again. It says, a fast food outlet like KFC is an example of a monopoly or oligopoly. I love this question. What is it, boys and girls? Monopoly or oligopoly? I can hear someone saying oligopoly, yes, because you see there is a few competitors. But I know others have said monopoly. And those who say monopolistic, they are the ones who are correct. Because remember, where we are saying, we don't care that you have, I know somebody's saying, all right, yes, KFC. Next to KFC, you've got Chicken Licken. Chicken Licken, the steers. So those people are selling chicken. So all of them, it's competition. Yes, it is competition. But what kind of a competition? You call it, it's a monopolistic competition. Because all those competitors have got differentiated product. I'm sure you know that Nando's is not the same as KFC. Nah. So that is very important where we say an outlet. We are referring to one outlet in a particular space. Therefore, it is there as a monopoly. It does not compete with anybody. It competes with what? A differentiated product. And also with other things like non-price competition. Remember, you have those things which don't use price in order to make you buy more. They can advertise, they can do what we call what do you call them? Those things that you know, promotions and stuff like that, so that they lay you to buy that without increasing or decreasing the price. Correct. So that is the end of this question. We will then move on to the next question that we have here. Candidates, the question from that question was 2.3 in the question from 2012 November question paper was saying, list any 3 causes of market failure. I've already said to you in introducing this question to say, what is a market failure and why do we call a market failure a market failure? And we realize that a market failure is when the market does not deliver according to their expectation. Why? Because there are other things which are there, which are disturbing this market in order to deliver the way it's supposed to deliver. What are those things? What are the causes of this market failure? Right, let's see the answers to that. We can realize that firstly we have what? Externalities. I have already alluded to externalities. What is an externality? Is all those things which are hindering, or those things which are not deducted from the market, how far they have made the market to fail. The calculations are not done in reverse to say minus these costs. We don't know about them. We just produce and we assume that things are normal. But things are not normal because of this market. Because here we've got demerit goods and demerit goods. The merit goods and demerit goods, which can serve as externalities. Remember, public goods as well. Public goods are all those goods which, what? I like this way because most people have a confusion of the word public, right? Remember, when you say public, you are referring to who? The government, right? Public goods, all the goods delivered by the government. That's why we say public service, public school, public hospital, public whatever, those things. But then public enterprise. But I know that somebody is saying, no. Hey, Oz is talking nonsense now because we know this public company. No, remember the public company is a different thing. It's a form of ownership. We call it a public enterprise, public company, not public enterprise. There's a private company and public company. So those are something different for those who are doing business studies. They will realize I'm not trying to derail them, but they know that the public company ends up with limited and the private ends up with proprietary limited, PTY, LTD. But those belong to the private. They are not government entity. What to distinguish from public company, we say public enterprise. Then those are those who belong to the government. So those public companies, they hinder the market because had it not been because of the private school or a private hospital, then that hospital will be belonging to the private and leave the market forces. If there's too much demand for that medical service or health service by that, then it will be determined by the demand for that versus the supply of the service. But then you see that becomes a problem. The government has to intervene to say, no. We cannot let everything be run by the private sector, because we are aware that where we live, the market run itself. Then there's lots of unscrupulous things. The market can take the price very high. Then what is going to happen to the poorest of the poor? They must have intervention. People won't go to school because they'll say education is too expensive because of you can imagine. Go tomorrow and find out what is the school fees in a private school. Then you'll realize what I'm talking about. So public goods, they underplay the market. So they make the market to fail. Remember we studied this. We don't say it's right or wrong, but we are saying it makes the market to fail. Merit goods are those goods which are benefiting humanness, human kindness. I've just mentioned things like education, health, and all those things. As opposed to demerit goods, those demerit goods are those goods that bring harm to individuals, such as alcohol, cigarette, drugs, and all those things. But you see, in a market situation, people want little of these merit goods, but they demand more of the demerit goods. Then the market gets very confused, because they want more of. You see, let's ask you, how many times you drink water, pure water, as opposed to Coca-Cola? I'm sorry mentioning, I'm just saying fizzy drinks. Fizzy drinks, then, or opposed to milk, right? Milk will give you health and all, but I don't know when last did I drink milk myself, but it is just economics to say, merit goods are not demanded as what we think they are, as opposed to demerit goods. Imperfect markets, competition, prices, those are the things that are causing a lot of problem in the markets, and they make markets to fail. Lack of information. If we don't have information about the market, uncertainty, we are not sure whether this is going to work or what is this market going to do. I don't want to mention certain markets. I'm told about one firm which has actually dropped sales from market shares from 50% to somewhere in the region of 5% in 24 months. You see, uncertainty, we are unable to understand or know what is going to happen. So this causes markets to fail. Right. Immobility of the factors of production. Immobility of factors of production simply means that our factors of production are not easy to move from one place to another. If you are employed in a particular place, it's difficult to say tomorrow, okay, thank you, see you. I'm going to work for this and this company. It's not easy. There's a lot of problem, relocation and so on. You are not sure whether you are going to be job security. Is that company able to sustain your employment as opposed to this one? And this company, you've got lots of people who already know you around, maybe in your market. So it's immobility. But that is just one part, which is what? Labor. But you can think about other factors of production which cannot move from one place to another. I know that you know that land particularly is totally immobile. I'm not saying soil. Land, you can't move Randburg to Randfontein because they have the same prefix. No. It is there, it cannot move. You can change the names of the place, but it cannot move. Unequal distribution of income. You see, this is a very big problem, because I explained it the last time that, you see, if you have in a market other people who earn lots of money and others getting very little money, and then you sell your products at the same to all of them, it is a problem, because at the end of the day they pay the same VAT. So the tax becomes what? Regressive as opposed to progressive. Because more people who are more income earning, they pay less rate of they pay less of tax, less portion of their income for tax. Whereas those who are earning less, they are paying a larger share of their income for tax. So that becomes and then the gap becomes bigger and bigger inequality. So that leads to market failure. If we move on, we'll realize that we have this section, question 4, which is adapted also on the same question paper last year. I've said to people, 3.3, all those questions, I've realized the pattern. I didn't want to talk about this because I'm of an impression that all of us already wrote 3. You wrote 3 important exams, in most cases, which is at least 2, June, September. So you know that you are familiar with the question paper. You don't have a problem with the question structure of questions. You don't have a problem about the sequence of questions. You know that when you open question 1, you find what multiple choice questions followed by this and that. Question 2.1 is going to be choose between brackets until question 4. Then you have a longer question for 8 marks and so on. So it is very important that this was taken there, but I've realized in 2 questions or 3 that I've taken out, I've seen a question based on a graph where we need to answer questions based on a graph. Oops. We answer question based on a graph. It says, the first question says, which market structure is represented in the graph below? What do we want here? Market structure. Yes? Can we hear it? I'll give you a hint. In this market structure is characterized by a particular demand curve. The demand curve of this market shows you where does it come from. Okay, let us see the correct answer. Oligopoly or imperfect market. Remember that when we say imperfect market, I would give a person who says monopoly correct also, because monopoly is under the group of markets which fall under imperfect market. And also the demand curve for a monopoly is a downward slope. Oh, I've already told you the answer for the next question. But I want us, before we go further, just to look at this particular question in a little bit detail. For exactly what I've said earlier, that if we have on one side a perfect market, we'll realize that a perfect market, remember, is characterized by a demand curve which is horizontal. Sometimes we say a perfectly elastic demand curve, where we can saw it by D, and then we say DD is a demand curve, which is also equals to marginal revenue, which is equals to average revenue also. So in other words here, I know that we are intelligent, very intelligent learners. So I don't want to say to you, okay, there's 3 graphs here. Don't look at this and say it's 1. But if I like, I can put another one on the same and say this is also a marginal revenue. And then take another one and say this also is in other words, we draw one graph which shows that there's 3 curves that are there. The curves are 3, which is demand curve, marginal revenue, and average revenue curve. Whilst we are there, we'll realize then that in this market, this is a demand curve. If we leave it like that and not put anything, and come back to this one and say, okay, what kind in a perfect market? A graph. Would realize, remember, it is said what I've done here is grossly wrong, because I have not done what? I have not done what? I have not labeled my graph. So you get penalized, boys and girls, for that. Very important. You have to label your graphs. In these particular graphs, we've got costs. Although this can also stand for price, because it comes from the demand curve. But it's cost of production versus quantity. Very, very important. Labeling of graphs. So you still have cost again against what? Output or quantity produced. Most textbooks use output. Output meaning you are busy producing output. What happens to your costs of production versus your revenue that comes to you? Which one is growing bigger than the other? So that it determines whether you continue producing more or stop production or shut down, right? Or are you getting normal profit or economic profit, or are you also getting economic loss? Right, so we realize then that in this graph is characterized and this is perfect, and this imperfect market is characterized by a downward sloping demand curve. Sometimes we call this curve average revenue curve. But then we have our marginal revenue curve. Remember here, they are all in the same place. Maybe I should do justice also on that one and also draw a graph there, which means they are not running on this, not a graph, I mean a curve. The curves are not lined together, but they are downward slope. You see here, they just leave you there. They didn't put frills to say, what is the market average marginal cost, what is the average cost, or whatever the case may be. What is the profit incurred, and so on. They just throw a demand curve and say, then they ask you a question thereafter to say, where does this, in which market structure does this? It is what? It is oligopoly. Next question, what type of demand curve is illustrated in this graph? We have seen it. I'm not going to waste time on that one, right? That's why it's kinked, or rather downward sloping. Somewhere we call it the negative slope, right? Sloping from left to right. We have seen it goes downwards, right? And we move to the next question. Explain why the producer will not decrease the price in order to improve his sales. The producer will not decrease the this is common sense, isn't it? Tell me, if you are a producer, what is the nice thing to do? To decrease prices or to increase them? Oh, I can hear you are saying increasing, because you want what? Profit. So one big reason is what? Is that the price will increase because he will lose more revenue from a price decrease. This producer is going to lose more money from what the decrease in price. Another one is that, and he will gain less from increasing sales. Yes, so very important. The producer has already incurred certain costs that must be covered. You can't reduce costs. And I've never seen a monopoly or an oligopoly which reduces price. Somebody says, oh, wait a minute. Hey, I've heard that word MTN on these cellular phone networks. They've got an oligopoly because it's few sellers, but they are competing a little bit here and there by price. But remember that the most important thing is non-price competition. They'll play around and say, oh, we give you this data. Hey, the other one says, no, we give you free SMS. And so, those are non-price competition. Regards non-price competition, e.g. product differentiation and the others that I've mentioned here, right? What legal behavior can result among producers in this type of a market if they want to increase their profit? What will they do? What is the illegal behavior which is normally inherent with these people if they cannot increase or rather produce in this market? When they want to increase, number one, it's collusion. Yes? They will form a cartel. Let us see the answers there. They will form a cartel and they will form a collusion, or rather price fixing. Remember oil cartel. Oil cartel, I know one biggest one which is called OPEC cartel. Oil and petroleum exporting countries. They come together and they say, no, you see, let us compete with this oil because other countries are competing with other commodities. They've got diamonds, gold, and what. Let us use this oil in order to be rich also. So they said, forget that you are in Saudi Arabia, I mean Iraq, what? let's collude. Then they come together and what? Form what? Collusion and run a cartel. And they also prefix the prices according to the way they want. They hold the supply of goods so that they could influence the prices in the market. We could also illustrate that situation by means of a graph, but unfortunately, time is running out. Question 5. Question 5.
I think it's time for ad break.
Okay, let's have an ad break.
He's so eager. He just wants to be like number
Yeah,
5, number 5.
Because I know these people are going to perform miracles tomorrow. Yes, Margot?
Going to be amazing. So Matrix have posted where to enter the competition. I've posted where to get the notes. And I have posted the curio. So everything is up to date. You should be okay. If there's any problems, let me know so I can let Ozzy know. And we'll see you after the break. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back, Matrix. So, economics is on the way. You're here with me, Megs, and Ozzy, the man of economics. So, we are here for you guys. Keep posting on the page, facebook.com/learn extra. And I'm sure we will answer any questions that you have. Tell me how you're feeling. How was your exam today if you wrote? Post a picture of where you are studying or a picture of you studying so we can see how much we are helping you learn more, learn extra. So as you know, this is a distance, this is a marathon. We are going to keep up with the pace because you mindsetters must not give up. So, Ozzy?
Thank you very much, Megs. And thank you to the mindsetters who are with us today. We hope that they are gaining a lot with this. I know it's just part of revision of what they have done. That we will proceed now to the next question. We have question 5 also from the November 2012 question paper. That was question 4.5. This question reads as following. Discuss dumping as an argument in favor of protectionism. There's 2 important words I picked up here. Is that there is a thing called protectionism. I know that you are all familiar with that. That protectionism is when we talk about international trade. Remember what we said earlier? We said we don't want a country to have more imports than exports. Why? Because we want to get a favorable balance of payment where our level of exports are greater than the level of imports. As a result of that, we need to have to nurture the firms locally to produce and be competent to those giants or conglomerates outside in developed countries. As a result, we have to protect these local industries. We call them infant industries. So that we need to nurture them and protect them and so on. So, protectionism is clearly a situation whereby those industries must be protected. Now, they say you should discuss dumping as an argument in favor of protection. Remember that there's argument against protection, or rather, arguments for free trade. There are people and other economists who are saying, let us have free trade in the country. Let people buy and sell as the way they like, no import duties, no nothing, so that we'll see the economy is running itself. But others are saying, no, we need to protect the country and local infant industries. So there are arguments for protection and arguments in favor of free trade or non-protection. So there are arguments for protection. Then what is dumping? We need to discuss this. Why dumping? These people who say we need to protect, why are they against dumping? Why? First, you will agree with me that we need to understand the word dumping. What is dumping? I know you are saying if you take rubbish and throwing it away, you are dumping. It is taken exactly from that, boys and girls. But economically speaking, when you say you're dumping, it's when a country of origin takes goods that are no longer functioning or which are already old or cannot be used in the country of origin and sell them at a very low price in other countries. I'll make an example. If South Africa a few years ago, when 30 years ago in Japan and other developed countries were using plasmas and the like, we are still buying those big grandmother's TV. I still have one in my house. We bought those at very low prices. Why? Because those countries, they were no longer using those things, but they could not throw them away in a what you call a dumping zone. What they did, because they were still new, but those people in those countries were no longer using those, they would take them and sell them at a very low prices. Remember, in our countries, we still had companies producing those things, those TVs. So as a result, they were cheaper than the TVs which were made locally. As a result, what happens? It is killing the local industry. But let us look at these arguments of protection. But the sincere thing is that a country of origin is taking goods which are underplayed by the market, by the country of origin, to another country in order to sell them at lower prices than the local market. As a result, what happens to the local producer doesn't produce, and then can't compete with the other ones. As a result, then people lose their jobs, and we get a situation which becomes worse off in a country. Yes, these. The first we see here, we see the definition. It says dumping occurs when a firm sells its goods in a foreign country at a lower price than it is than in the market of origin. So it's dumping. Please don't write dumping is when you take rubbish to Marie Louise or whatever place you know where there's dumping. It is in economic terms, meaning this, it was taken from that term of throwing things away. So that country of origin is throwing away to other countries these things that will not work in their country anymore. Firms gain market share and pushes local producers out of the market. Yes, the firms, those firms who are doing the dumping to those countries, they gain market share. They gain market share. And they end up pushing the local producer out of the market because the local producer, poor soul, they cannot sell at those prices because they are selling them out, next to nothing. Firms can do this when they receive government subsidies. Yes. The firms can do this when they receive government subsidies. Yes. Sometimes it happens that we was this big argument about farmers overseas which are being subsidized by their governments there. And they produce these goods and sell it to South Africa when locally we don't have that kind of subsidy. So we cannot compete with the international market. We end up buying bananas from Brazil when we have bananas in Limpopo. But Limpopo and bananas are more expensive because those farmers need to cover the cost. So it becomes a problem.
Ozzy,
Yes.
Fikile has a question. I don't know if we can go back, but she asks, why is the slope negative from question 3?
Is the slope negative?
Yeah, that was way back though. But
Yeah, we can go back there.
Okay.
We can. In fact, we have a question. I think let us do that. Can we finish with these and then maybe move
Go back.
to the...
Yeah.
Yes. Just remind me that. Next. Right. Then we have, they can also ask a higher price in the domestic market and subsidies export prices, which increase profits. This leads to unfair competition. Becomes unfair competition because they ask higher prices. They can also ask those higher. As soon as they gain the market, they start increasing and they get lots of profit. Their profit becomes increased. Countries are allowed by the World Trade Organization agreement to take protective measures to counter dumping. You see, whilst everything goes like that, it is also important to know that there is an organization which says, you know that this is what happens when there's dumping. You as countries, we give you we have an agreement that you can do something in order to stop this dumping from taking place. Yes, I think we need to go back. Let's go back to the question. Probably let's go back to that question. I think the question was this one here. This was the question. The question says, boys and girls, why is the slope negative? But because of I don't have space here, I'll go I'll look for a space now. Yes, I have extended page there. Okay. Right, let us see. Why is the slope downwards? Okay, remember that the situation, I like starting with a perfect market situation. Because we're in the perfect market situation, number one, we say those are price takers. Why they are called price takers, I think is also common sense to say. If everybody is selling the same product, anyone who joins in the market cannot sell at a higher product because he'll eat those goods that he produces. Nobody will buy them. And if he buys it, he sells at a lower price, what is going to happen to him? Everybody else will stock from him because he will not go to macro and stop anymore. We'll just stock next door because this one is selling very cheap. So you won't have stock. So you become a price taker. But how does this work? It starts with a perfect market. We have a situation where we refer to a market. Remember, market, sometimes we just deliberately say an industry. And an industry, remember, is a place whereby many producers are producing the same product. Right? If you say a maize industry or a car manufacturing industry or market, we are referring to those people who are producing the same product, right? And then the industry market is like that. Right? The industry. There's the industry. Remember we said that we have, say for example, we have all these firms are producing the same thing. They are called an industry. Ne? And then we now have this industry. This industry, because of this industry, our demand curve is downward sloping, our supply curve is upward sloping. Then we have an equilibrium point where we have our equilibrium price and equilibrium quantity. Remember what we say, boys and girls, we say, this price is determined by the market, not an individual firm, right? Now, what happens to the individual firm? There's that firm, it goes now. This firm goes and establish. This firm is established one firm which belongs to this industry. Yes, there you went. So what happens? It's going to go in this, there's lots of industries in this. This is the demand curve of that industry, of that market. So what it does, it just takes the price from the market. So we have what? Our demand curve, which is equals to our marginal revenue, which is equals to our average revenue curve. So this is 3 in 1. Also that will be price and quantity. Are we close together now? That this demand curve is a horizontal line. The question comes now, when it's a case of what? Of a monopoly or imperfect market, why is the slope down sloping? It's because there's one person producing this different product. He's not in an industry. He's only one, this person. Is one. There is no other industry which produces the same. Remember, even if it's in an oligopoly, oligopolies collide and become one firm. And when they become that one firm, what happens to the price is determined. So this person here becomes a price. I don't want to write inside here. Sorry. Because I'm going to need that space. It becomes a price taker. He takes the price given to him by the market. Whereas we have a situation of an oligopoly or imperfect market, which is characterized, as I said, by a demand curve, which is downward sloping, and a marginal revenue curve, which is downward sloping. The question is, why is this downward sloping? A traditional demand curve is downward sloping. Why? Because of the law of demand. When the price is high, the quantity demanded is low. When the price is low, the quantity demanded is high. If you want to prove me wrong, wait this red hanger in Edgar's. You see when those prices are low, everybody collides in that door to get, because the price is very low. And if you want to prove me wrong that when the price is high, nobody buys or people buy less quantity, check what happens when the price of petrol increases. Everybody stops buying, limit the budget, because why? Everything escalates, the prices of goods, inflation goes high, so that is the problem. So there is a negative relationship between price and quantity demanded. That negative relationship leads to a negative gradient of a demand curve, which means now it is what? Price high, low. So let us see this. When the price is high, at all points of the demand curve, when all points of the demand curve, remember, this is now becoming what? A negative relationship of quantity demanded. It is just not applicable in this case. Remember, we have in economics, when we talk about the slopes of demand curve are different. We have perfectly elastic, we have relatively elastic, we have unit elasticity, we have perfectly inelastic. They are different. So this one it's just a market that determines the price. That's all. That's why it's a horizontal line. Whereas this one is an ordinary curve, which is there because there's only consumers on one side who demand, and there's also the suppliers who supply. In this case, the suppliers who supply will be characterized by the average revenue curve, the average cost, The marginal cost curve will also serve as the supply curve of a monopoly or imperfect market. Whereas, remember what we said, marginal revenue, something very interesting here, is that any point where there's an intersection between marginal revenue and marginal cost, we have what? Profit maximization point of a firm. That's where profits are maximized of a firm. But remember, a monopolist cannot sell at this price. Because they say, I sell at this price, but those people demanded that, here is their demand here. I'd rather sell at that price. That's why it's important for him to produce lesser and lesser, because when he reduces, the price goes high. We call it what? Price hike. So they don't just, sometimes collusion, or we said that it is illegal. Some firms are doing that. About some few months or years ago, we had those companies, we had that problem. And then because they were colliding and reducing the production so that they will influence the prices and so on. We're not getting there because we just want to pass our metric and then have less trouble. But I hope I've answered, I'm not sure if I've covered the question of the learner. The sincere thing about this is just applicable. It is just applicable in a situation of an imperfect market. That demand curve will go down because there's individual firm against what? Many consumers. But in this case, where there's lots of firms selling homogeneous products, then it's not applicable. Many firms will take the price as it is dictated to it by the market. These ones are called what? Price makers. They can do anything. Tomorrow, one firm can say, hey, this drink has increased. Nobody competes with them, so we'll keep on buying. Those people who drink those things will keep on buying those things because there's no one else who's producing that. So that is the situation. I'm not sure if I've covered the question of Elena so that we can move forward.
I think you have.
Okay,
I think so.
Thanks, Margot.
Can I announce the curio winner quickly?
Okay, fine.
Sure.
Please.
The curio winner for today's competition, congrats, you've won 100 Rand airtime, is, drumroll, Zinkle Zondo. So just go check on Facebook. I hope you're watching. You must be watching. You know what's going on, or check the Facebook page. But I think we only have a few seconds. So, Ozzy, if you want to say goodbye to them and wish them good luck.
Thank you very much. Mindset has been a pleasure working with you. I hope that I'm not sure that we never see each other again, but we'll see each other in the malls and stuff, because otherwise, from now on, we are gone. Tertiary institutions are waiting for you, and big institutions. So if we bump on each other, please, we'll be relatives. But what I want to do now, I want to wish you well. Do best you can in your exam. I hope you are ready now. You'll give it the best. Thank you.
Thank you, Ozzy. Thank you, Mindsetters. Hope you write fantastic. We wish you luck from Mindset. Cheers. That's me. Bye, guys.